Hello, and congratulations. You made it down through most of the stuff for this week one here in entrepreneurship class. So if you're doing everything correctly, you watched the introduction video, then you watched lecture 1 and 2, and now you're here. You found me here. So congratulations on navigating that through this first week. What I want to do is, again, I've mentioned before, we have a lot of videos this week just because we have some of these intro types of videos. Not every week will be like this. Some weeks we might only have one video. A lot of them we just have two. So don't feel like this is how it's going to go every week. So I'm going to try to be a little quicker on this one. Just wanted to talk about the discussion forums and then our $5 challenge that is assigned this week. So first, let's talk about this discussion forum. I have instructions up here at the top right here. This will be here all semester for you in Moodle. So if you ever wonder or forget and want to go back and review what's required for the discussion forums, this is here. And that's what I'm going to go over here real quick. So the discussion forums, because we are a mix of both a seated class and an online class, and typically a lot of people, even the seated, will move over to an online. So we don't ever get to come together as a class and have a class discussion about the various topics that we're talking each week. And the discussion board is kind of that online option to get us talking with each other about different topics. Now, some people really like these, some people don't. I don't know. Either way, it's something that we've got to do with class to try to expand the discussion of what it is, what our topic is for that week. So each week, not every week, more weeks than not, we will have a discussion forum, but we don't have them every week. They're pretty easy in the sense that oftentimes you don't have to do a lot of research. They're just, hey, what do you think about this? Or what's top of mind when we talk about this? What are you thinking? So a lot of just opinion. A few of them you're going to have to do some research that are a little bit more involved. But for the most part, it's just, hey, what are you thinking here? And just getting that discussion. And then we'll reply to our classmates and say, hey, that's a great idea, but have you thought about this? Or I looked where you were thinking about this, and had you thought about expanding to this, or changing this, or maybe enhancing it in this way? So that's the goal of the discussion forum. So when there's a topic, you'll see it out there on Canvas. Like this week, you'll see discussion forum 1. I'll show you here in a minute, but you'll click on that, you'll see the topic, and you'll respond, and I'll show you how to do that. Each week, the initial discussion forum post by you is due on Wednesday night by 11 o'clock. And it needs to be a minimum of 300 words, which might sound like a lot, but once you get in and type it, 300 words does not take long at all. So just this, what you're reading right here, the directions is almost 300 words. So you can see it's really not, it's a few paragraphs. Then what you'll do is you'll go and reply to at least 2 classmates, and those replies are due by Sunday night, and you need to reply at least 150 words to each of the 2 classmates you want to reply to. Now, I would hope that maybe you'll read more than just 2, and if you feel like replying to more than 2, that would be great, just to provide that input and that feedback to your classmates. But the minimum requirement is 2 and by Sunday, which is why we got to make sure our original posts hit on time by Wednesday, so that gives our classmates time to go in and read and reply by the due date for that on Sunday night. So make sure you're doing that. When you go back and reply to your classmates, don't just say, hey, that was a really good job. Hey, I really like how you said this. There's a lot of memes and jokes out there about discussion forums, and they're kind of dull of saying, hey, when you said that you like this product A, I really agreed with how I like also product A, and you were also agreeing that the best part of this was this, and I also think that this is the best part of this, and you did a really good job of explaining that. Try to expand on the discussion. Try to provide some positive feedback, and then go back and read what people said about your original post, because that's kind of the point of this discussion thing. So that's the discussion forum. So like you'll see on Canvas, this week we have discussion forum 1. So when you go to click on it, it'll open up and you'll see the topic here, which is really, hey, what do you think are some of the best things about owning a business? And this is a result from the discussions that we had, the lectures that you watch. What you'll do is you'll just go click and reply, and then in this box, you'll do this. Now, one of the things, it does keep track of words, so that's a change. They fixed that. You'll go in there, type in there, and then you'll reply, and then it's there. And then when other posts are there, you'll be able to go and click on them and reply to them. So it's all right here, a pretty easy thing to do. If you have any questions, reach out to me and let me know. The next thing I want to talk about is here, the $5 challenge. The instructions for this are here. So this I think is a fun project, and most people like it. Some people do not like it. It's kind of a love-hate thing, but the majority of them seem to like it. What we're going to do is you're going to start with $5. So this will cost you $5. And we're going to go between now and September 20th. So you have almost a month. We're going to see how much money you can make with your $5. So the idea here is you take your $5 and you go out and invest it. You buy something or you buy raw materials that you can then use to create or purchase something that someone else will have more value that you can sell to them for that more value. And the idea is that we're going to recreate these transactions over time to see if you can make some money. So it has to be a legal activity. You can't go gamble it. You can't buy lottery tickets. You can't go out to the casino. You can't wager, things like that. But you need to come up with a concept, kind of thinking about what can I do with $5. Now, it used to be $1. So a lot of you will complain that $5 isn't very much. Be thankful I moved it up from $1 a couple of years ago, inflation and all that. But $5 is very possible to go out and find a thing. You just have to think about it. Think about what can I do with $5 that I can get and maybe enhance the value to it, or get to somebody else, find a bargain that I can then sell to someone who needs it more or holds it at a greater value where I can sell it for more. And then we do this and take that money and then expand and grow or something. So some other rules is you can't just go to friends and family members and just say, hey, you have this something that's worth $20 or $30. Will you sell it to me for $5 for my class so I can go sell it to someone else? That's not going to work. Let's say you decide, oh, I'm going to make, I hate giving suggestions because then that pigeonholes you into thinking those. But you go and you talk to a friend, and I had a person that bought vinyl from their mom. It was $100 worth of vinyl that they bought with their dollar when it was $1. And that's ridiculous. We talk in class that if you have a relationship like that, that's a great competitive advantage. But for this, you can't really go use that. So don't pull on the heartstrings of your mom or your grandma or somebody and say, hey, sell me this cheap so I can go do this project. Think about it. Now, if it requires some tools and you have the tools, then that's okay. So if certain tools that you can have, but the raw materials that you need to buy for your product, you need to purchase within the $5, and then economies of scale, you'll rotate and continue to do those transactions so you can make money. So I hope you'll take this seriously. Some students have done really well with this. I've had a couple students make over $1,000 in this, and all the money you make, you keep. So maybe you make a little bit of money to help you out. Well, that would be great. When we get the feedback, so as you're doing this, you're going to need to keep track of all of your transactions. So you'll track however you would like, Excel spreadsheet or whatever. You're going to track, hey, I started with my $5. I spent this much here. I then sold it for this, where I returned and bought more of this and sold this and bought more. And so I can see how your cash has flowed throughout the thing with your bottom line of what you've made and what you have left over. And then at the end, you'll also write up a summary, a one-page report of the activities that you did, how you come up with the idea, what you thought of the process. And then one of the big questions is, what would you have done if you were to do it again? And I want you to think about that one and put that in there. And one of the big things that people say is, if I were to do this over, I would have started sooner. Because they put it off, and then in the last week or so, they make some money. They make $100, and they say, oh, wow, I just needed to go, which we'll talk about. We've talked about this week. Part of the problem with entrepreneurs is just going, doing what you're thinking and getting off your butt and going. And so this is kind of forcing you to do that, to think outside of the box, to get you outside of your comfort zone and forcing you to do this. If you have questions about what you're thinking about doing, if it follows the rules or not, let me know. If you have questions or concerns about the instructions at all, let me know. As an added bonus, besides the money that you make, whoever makes the most money gets a 10% add-on to their grade for this, 5% for second place, 3% for third. Good luck with it. Let me know if I can help you if you have any concerns at all. Thanks.